Lights, camera, action. Welcome to NFTV. That's Information TV. I'm your host, 44K. The K stand for Kincaid. Today we're going to talk about domestic terrorism. What is it? What does it look like? What's the face of it in 2023? There's been so many crazy instances over the last couple years of building burning, of protests, of spray painting, of taking over cities like New York, of rioting in cities like Chicago to the point they have to lift the bridges, of rioting in parts of Wisconsin, all these different things. And we like to call these things some people on the left call it peaceful protest, people on the right call it domestic terrorism. Just like you have the situation with January 6th, people say, hey, it was a mostly peaceful protest, and then other people say it's an insurrection. We on YouTube and on television, a lot of the times we see a lot of instances of January 6th and what they called an insurrection and what they called one of the worst events since 9/11 or Pearl Harbor or things like that. So let's take a look at a situation that's happening in Atlanta right now, where you have individuals protesting the police facility that they are building out there to train officers. Let's see what happened. And then we're going to stop, pause, do our little thing, our 1-2, converse together. Please like, subscribe, share the video, get down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know how I 44K can improve and give you guys a better product day in and day out when I'm delivering this content. But without further ado, let's play this video.
Flames were seen rising from the construction site of what will soon be Atlanta's new public safety training center after some protesters who police say had just left a nearby music festival threw explosives and Molotov cocktails at police officers and set equipment on fire.
During that attack on the officers, pieces of equipment and other items that were at the location for the construction of the public safety training center were damaged.
The demonstrators scattering as police arrived. Officers seen running after them in the woods, using stun guns to stop the protesters. Police arrested more than...
Hold on. Did y'all see Buddy running that 7-7, 40-yard dash from the cop, and then he tripped and fell? Like, bro, if you gonna be a criminal and you gonna burn stuff up, man, at least have some wheels on you. At least work on your sprint, your dash or something. You can't be setting stuff on fire trying to get away from the police and getting chased down by a 45-year-old officer. So that's crazy in itself right there. But back to the topic at hand, let's talk about this. So you have officers building a training facility, city of Atlanta building a training facility to train officers for how to engage in how to engage in certain situations, tactics, strategies, and things like that. One of the main complaints is these officers not having proper training. That's why I feel like these groups have somewhat lost the plot. They somewhat lost the plot, because you can't have a situation where you completely defund the police and then anarchy sets in like it has in Portland, to where you have people openly doing drugs. You have them setting up their own zones where no officers are allowed, and where they're doing segregation and different things like that. You have people getting murdered in these so-called safe zones. You can't have complete anarchy. And then you can't have a situation where you have a total brutal police force that are just allowed to get away with anything. I'm not someone that supports that at all. So what you do need is you need proper training, because this is the thing that people get confused. I pay taxes. You probably pay taxes. The majority of people pay taxes. Us hardworking 9-to-5 individuals, we pay taxes. So what do we do when a crime happens to us or a family member or someone in our community? We're going to call the police. And those police that we call, we want them to be properly trained. So when they address the situation, If the situation goes awry and then they have to take down an individual, we want them to be properly trained so no one else gets hurt, or so they can talk the person down without any type of violence. But when you have groups like this attacking the police, the potential police facility, and setting equipment on fire and burning things down and attacking officers with Molotov cocktails and rocks and fireworks and things like this, then uh, you are hindering that process. So it started off as you guys wanting proper police training and officers to be held accountable and money being spent in the right areas so that these officers are properly trained. Atlanta is trying to build this type of facility, and then you have these people without any direction in life trying to burn it down. But let's watch the remainder of the video and then get back to it.
And who does it?
We throw commercial grade fireworks. We throw Molotov cocktails, large rocks, a number of items at officers. Your only intent is to harm. And the charges are going to show that tonight when we make the appropriate charges.
The training center was approved by Republican and Democrat lawmakers at the state level, and it's been the epicenter of escalating confrontation as demonstrators oppose what they call the militarization of police and the development of the forest the facility will soon be built on. But Atlanta's police chief says what happened was not a legitimate protest, and that many arrested weren't even from Georgia.
This was a very violent attack that occurred this evening. Very violent attack. This wasn't about a public safety training center.
See, this is the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is, when are we going to address Antifa? And I don't want to get gaslit inside of my comment section like, oh, what is Antifa? That doesn't exist. That's just an idea. That's anti-fighting fascists. Are you supporting, are you saying people who fight fascists are bad guys? Let's not do that. Let's not do that at all. We all know Antifa has become a domestic terrorist organization, and they need to be addressed by Congress, the Senate, local, federal government, city government. It needs to be addressed. They're out of control. They're out of control. This is what happens when you don't have any checks and balances, when individuals are not held accountable. They have been, it's like that old movie, House of Horrors or whatever it's called. It's like, feed me, Leroy, feed me. By the time it's the end of the movie, it's a big monster plant and it's taken over. That's what Antifa has become. And the thing that's sad, me being a black man, the thing that's sad is a lot of the times these individuals don't, like he just said, don't even stay in the area. So you have people setting stuff on fire, people burning up cars, flipping cars, people burning up businesses, vandalizing businesses, shoplifting businesses, and tearing down that area and that part of the community. And then when they leave and go back to Greenwich, Connecticut, or they leave to go back to Williamsburg, Brooklyn, or they go back to Kansas City, Kansas, and live their suburban lives, it's the individuals that stay in the inner city, that stay in these different food deserts and things like that, that don't have access to food, materials, and even sometimes jobs leave. So this is starting to get a little bit frustrating that they're not being held accountable to the point to where it deters other youth from joining up with groups like this to terrorize the community.
Senator, this was about anarchy, and this was about the attempt to destabilize.
No officers were injured in this incident. This is, though, the latest in a series of clashes with police. In January, a demonstrator was shot to death by a police officer. I'm Morgan Norwell, ABC.
So yeah, but that's the issue that we are facing with. We have Antifa members who are anarchists, who are terrorists, and they claim to be freedom fighters. They claim to be fighting for justice and fighting against fascists. No, our grandparents fought against fascists in World War II. So that's probably the last time that anybody fought against fascists, World War II. You know, so we have individuals fighting against the ISIS and the caliphate and all these different type of things with Desert Storm and Afghanistan and things like. But nowadays, this right here, this type of domestic warfare against police officers is not anything that's going to be looked back on as you made a difference. You were just a bored young kid without any direction, and this is what you fed into. I'm really starting to feel like a lot of these kids, like it's not like back in the day where we had church. You know, they totally Christianity has totally been removed from the public sphere. So, and then if it is Christianity, it's watered down to the point where anybody's accepted. So we don't have the type of upbringing and the foundation that I'm familiar with growing up in the 90s. So we don't have that anymore. So what is that void being filled with? That void is being filled with things like this, being filled like trans ideology, LGBTQ plus ideology, Antifa ideology, to where a lot of these kids are being radicalized and then they're acting out in this manner. And it's becoming dangerous to us in the public. It's becoming dangerous to the whole populace the whole population as a whole, because now you have these radical individuals that don't listen to reason. This is not these type of people are not people that you can have debates with, you can converse with and meet on the battlefield of ideas and come up with a compromise and a solution to what the actual problem is. These individuals want you to bend a knee, and if you don't bend the knee, they will terrorize you. So in closing, I just want to say, like, what are we going to do about this? What's the solution for situations like this? How do we de-radicalize these young youth, and what is going to be the thing that fills the void for these young youth? Because we don't have a war that's against an actual supervillain like Adolf Hitler, or we shut down everything in Afghanistan. A lot of these Christian institutions have been demonized, and a lot of these kids don't even believe in God. So what's going to fill this void besides things like Antifa, things like this climate change cult, and or this trans ideology? What are we going to do for the people, right of center, conservative, Republicans, libertarians? What are we going to do to reach the youth, to pull them away from this radicalization? That's my question in closing. But before I before I end this video, last thing I'm gonna ask is please like, subscribe, share, get down in the comments. Let's have a conversation. Let's build a rapport together, and let's start to get geared up for 2024, man, because we have to begin to spread the word. We have to begin to mobilize, because we need to get a more rational people, logical people in office to prevent situations like this. Man, I'm your host, 44K. K stand for King K. Peace and blessings. Thanks for stopping by.